The next Lee and Ian podcast is approaching the station. Please step aside.
And welcome to the Lee and Ian Show. I'm Lee Navlin.
And I'm Ian Grodman.
The Lee and Ian Show is sponsored by Grodman Law and Mediation. Remember, when it comes to divorce, family first, your children first. Mediation is the way to go. Grodman Law and Mediation. And if you want to check out my latest, it's LeeNavlinBooks.com. When I'm not recording a podcast, I'm writing books. That's LeeNavlinBooks.com.
Check it out.
Thank you. Our guest today, returning to the Lee and Ian Show for the second time, is congressional candidate for the 11th District, Tom Malinowski. Tom, thank you so much for coming back to visit us.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you, Lee. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Tom, with less than a week before the special primary, I guess it's going to be a busy week for you, to say the least.
4 days, 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
You know, they change that number on me every day, and it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, and it's
I'm sure.
And it's a Thursday also, which
Thursday's completely throwing people off.
Yeah, but we also had early voting. A lot of people
That's
voted by
true.
mail already.
Yep.
So, but if you haven't, make a plan for Thursday.
now, are you a fan of primary season being in January when it's 5 degrees out? I would imagine that's been
I'm a fan of filling this vacant House seat as quickly as possible,
That's
no
great.
matter what the weather, because
That's
we
why
need
we're doing
as
this.
many Democrats as possible in
Yep.
the House.
Now, Tom, so much is going on. Your name is in the headlines constantly. I want to talk a little bit about that. But first thing is first, I tend to peruse the local, Ian, and so does Ian, the local social media sites. For clarification, not only do you live in South Orange, New Jersey, you work in South Orange.
I was teaching at Seton Hall University last semester, not this semester. I'm a little bit busy right now with the campaign, but it was something I really enjoyed doing. I love the kids there, and was at the School of Diplomacy.
Also, but as a South Orange resident, your mayor, Sheena Collum, the great Sheena Collum, has endorsed you.
She has. Thank you, Sheena.
And by the way,
and a majority of the Board of Trustees in South Orange as well.
including the great Jen Greenberg.
That's right.
Okay, yes. So if I didn't mention Jen Greenberg, I know I would be
Okay,
getting
you'll
an
be in
earful.
trouble.
So, but that's Tom. Talking about the headlines, ripping stories from the headlines. You've come under attack. United Democracy Project, a group affiliated with the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, known as AIPAC. According to reports, they have spent over $2 million attacking you. These ads aren't so much about your position regarding Israel. You've supported the Jewish state, but they're criticizing your 2019 vote in regards to ICE. It seems like a bunch of nonsense to me. These are attack ads. Talk to
I'm
us a
glad to
little
hear
bit
you say
about all
that,
that.
Lee.
Yeah. Talk to it. And by the way, I'm a Jewish guy. You know, I support Israel, and I'm frustrated and
I think
furious.
Tom does as well.
Yeah, by what they've done here. This is politics 101, dirty politics 101 in my book.
Yeah, it's both weird and disturbing. So let's take both of those in order. It's weird because, as you pointed out, I support Israel. I have long considered myself a Zionist. I support the right of Israel to exist and to defend itself as a Jewish and democratic state. And I had a perfect voting record in that regard when I was in Congress. But what these guys wanted from me was something more. They wanted a promise that I would support unconditionally, uncritically, blindly any request for military aid that the Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel makes. And I don't think any member of Congress can responsibly make that pledge. We're allowed to be concerned about actions that we disagree with. We're allowed to make independent judgments as a country when an ally asks for help. I want to win a competition in Congress for being the most pro-Ukraine member of that body.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I support unconditional aid to Ukraine
Right.
either. And so they said, okay, we got a problem with that, Tom. And then, believe it or not, because I talked to them a lot, they said, Tom, some of our members are concerned you'll be influential in Congress.
Very interesting.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you. That's
like a
actually
good
like my
thing.
main message in my
I was
campaign.
going to say, I
Yeah.
think they should be happy that you would be influential.
Yeah, but so the implication was that
I get it.
my small deviation from their hard line
Right.
was scarier to them than if I were like totally against them but not influential.
Right.
And on that basis, they decided to endorse another candidate, to support another candidate, which, by the way, is fine. What's not fine, what's disturbing, is that they're spending over $2 million in 2 weeks sliming me based on this ridiculous assertion that I support ICE, which is hurtful, despicable, and unforgivable.
Right now, 2019. Explain for those who maybe they just don't understand. Maybe they don't even understand where ICE came from.
Yeah.
What was the vote about, and what's the difference between then and Donald Trump's ICE?
So 2019, I mean, Trump is president in 2019,
Right.
don't get me wrong. But there was a huge influx of migrants at the border. People remember this. There were hundreds of thousands of people overwhelming the border communities in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. We voted to send an emergency package of humanitarian aid to the border communities for tents, for blankets, for food, for shelter, for medicine. And within that bill, which was about $4.5 billion, there was $200 million for border enforcement. And by the way, I'm for a secure border too. Every Democrat in New Jersey voted for that bill. Mikey Sherrill did, Andy Kim did, even our most progressive members of Congress, like Bonnie Watson-Coleman and the late, great Donald Payne Jr., voted for that bill. And I would still vote for that bill today. And based on that, they are superimposing my picture on images of ICE agents in Minnesota breaking down people's doors, which I find, again, absolutely dirty, despicable, and unforgivable. To suggest that I support that when I'm an immigrant to this country and I've been campaigning to defund Trump's mass deportation policies. And they know it, and they don't care.
And your history in human rights as well. I mean, it's just unbelievable that they would try to make that suggestion at all.
Yeah.
Basically, they're recycling the attack ads they used against Mikey Sherrill. I mean, they've gone down this road before.
Yeah. So again, what these big super PAC, these big dark money super PACs do is they never run on the issue they care about. Right. The issue this group cares about is Israel, and that's fine. It's fine to have a debate about that, but they're not running ads on that issue. They pick something else that they think will undermine support for a candidate, attack their character, their personality, their ethics, their morals. And, AIPAC, folks should know, the main funders of this organization, the biggest donors, are almost all billionaires who support Trump. They don't care about Democrats taking back the House or the outcome of our primary, except as a means of sending an intimidating message to the Democratic Party that every Democrat needs to get into line. I'm the first mainstream Democrat they've gone after. Yeah. Normally they go after Democrats on the far left. So this is a new tactic, and they are sending a message to all my colleagues in Congress who will be running in the midterms this year. It's not enough to be 90% with them. You have to be 100% with them, or they will go after them the same way they're going after me.
It's basically get out of Donald Trump's way.
Yes, that's right. And here's the important thing, or even more important. There are a lot of other groups like this waiting in the wings. The cryptocurrency companies have set up a super PAC with about $200 million that is sitting there, again, as a threat, as a warning to Democrats, do not regulate cryptocurrency. The artificial intelligence companies, same thing, are putting hundreds of millions of dollars into one of these political action groups saying, do not regulate artificial intelligence. They're all watching this race. I know my Democratic colleagues in the House and Senate are watching this race. And so, look, I didn't want this to be about dark money. This was supposed to be about who is the best qualified candidate to represent the 11th district. But it's now also about something else. Do we send a message to the Democratic Party that it should be intimidated by this kind of spending? Or do we, by our votes here, immunize the Democratic Party? Because if we reject this, we are immune.
Yeah, so this is ground zero, so to speak, of what this country might look like moving forward if they're successful in knocking you out with so nothing to do with what we really care about, so we're just going to go ahead and throw a bunch of nonsense. Border vote, 2019, that's why you can't vote for him.
Yes,
well, nothing to do with their
they'll run the same play
they'll keep doing
in
it.
other races.
Right.
And again, let me be clear about this. every incumbent Democrat in the House and the Senate at some point has voted to fund ICE.
Mm-hmm.
If you vote for a budget for the federal government, ICE is part of the federal government, right?
Right.
So you are technically voting for ICE at that point. So this attack is available to any dark money group against any Democrat incumbent in Congress if they want to use it. So if it works here, it will be used with millions of dollars behind it in other races. So, I want to get dark money out of the system. I want to repeal the Citizens United decision. It's going to take a constitutional amendment. It's hard. But we can, in a way, strike a huge blow to Citizens United in this race by just saying, go to hell. We're not listening to these ads. We're voting for whoever we think is the most qualified candidate.
Yep.
Tom, you've it's an 11-way race, right, Ian, for
Yes.
for this seat. You've brought in the most money of all the candidates as far as fundraising is concerned. I guess in democracy that's a necessary evil. But it shows also that you can hit the ground running. During the campaign, you hit the ground running. That's why you've been so successful in that regards. You're going to hit the ground running in Congress because you've been there before.
That's right.
Your experience. You're not in Congress currently, but what's going on in Minneapolis right now? The 2 deaths.
Good.
ICE is there. The administration's very defensive every time these things happen. What are your thoughts on what's going on right now with ICE in Minneapolis?
Yeah, it's a disgrace. Like the idea that in our country, in this democracy, the government would be sending masked agents to demand that we Americans show our papers on the streets of our cities is just unthinkable to me. I've seen this in many countries around the world. We know where that road takes us if we don't stop it here. And I think the vast majority of Americans are fed up with it, including a lot of people who voted for President Trump. Maybe they wanted a more secure border. They didn't vote for masked agents picking up moms and dads dropping their kids off at school who have no criminal record. And so there's a huge demand right now that I think Trump is feeling to put an end to this. And great news is that our Democrats in Congress are stepping up. So in the Senate, there is a bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security that's been held up because the Republicans need the Democratic votes in the Senate to pass it. And the Democrats are insisting rightly on changes to how ICE goes about its business. If it were me, I would insist no masks, no arrests without a warrant for some criminal act. So you can't just go on the street and demand that people prove they have a right to be here based on the color of their skin or their accent. I would say Border Patrol stays at the border, no operations around schools, around churches, around hospitals. And, we'll see what we can get. But we have some leverage as Democrats, even in the minority, and I'd be using that.
Now, Tom, we talked about this during our last podcast. I've heard you talk about this over the years. You were a little boy in Poland. It was a different world than the world that I grew up in and Ian grew up in. So you've seen the evils of what government is capable of. Are the correlations? Are you seeing that with this administration? I mean, is it as bad as some people want us to believe?
It's not. We're not a dictatorship. We still get to vote for the people that we want. And people sometimes walk up to me and they say, Tom, are we going to have another free and fair election in America? And my answer is yes, we are. My answer is that the Trump and Stephen Miller and all these people, they're more afraid of us than we are of them, or than we should be of them. But if they had their way, if they didn't meet any resistance, yeah, I think they would take us in that direction. I mean, already we've got, and this does remind me of the communist country that I was born in. Like, if any of us in this room commit a crime, we're going to jail. If you're a major Trump donor or an official in the Trump administration or the president yourself or somebody who does violence on their behalf, you're getting pardoned.
Right.
And that sends a signal. It's not just injustice. It sends a signal to people that they can commit crimes in the future on behalf of this president. And that doesn't make me feel safer.
Right. Not at all.
Now, Ian, your former running mate back when you were the vice mayor mate was Fred Perfetta. He was the
That's
mayor.
correct.
Fred Perfetta is amongst so many people that have endorsed you. Okay. Matter of fact, yeah, he asked me if I wanted to sign just yesterday. And I said I was going to be seeing the guy personally, and I don't have to get my sign from you, Fred. But what are you learning on the campaign? You've been campaigning, you've been knocking on doors, you've been in town halls, debates, podcasts. What are the people saying to you?
They're anxious about what's going on in Washington. There are a lot of issues they care about, but I think overwhelmingly people say to me that if we're not a democracy, we don't have basic things like rule of law and fair treatment and respect for people's rights, then none of the other stuff that we want from government is going to be possible. And so we got to fix that. And I think that message appeals to people across the spectrum of the Democratic Party, whether folks are more moderate, whether folks are more progressive on the Bernie side of the party. Like, we all understand right now we got to be a Manchin to Mamdani party and be united against this central threat to our existence and our future as a democracy. And I think I've been successful because I'm not the only person who believes that, obviously, but I've been able to demonstrate or argue that I'll be effective from the day I get there in fighting that fight, because I've been there, because I have the experience, the relationships, the seniority, not just in Congress, but a lifetime of fighting against authoritarianism.
Right, as he told us last time.
And I
friends there. You're gonna walk in the first day, and he goes, "Hey, he's back. Let's get to work. Let's continue doing what we were doing."
Exactly. Whereas the other candidates, and many of them are really great people, but they would be freshman members of Congress. And being a freshman member of Congress is kind of like being a freshman in college. Your first task is figuring out where the dorm is.
Yep, exactly.
And where the bathroom is.
Yeah.
And like, how are you going to do your laundry? And how do you sign up for a class? And
Well, Ian's was where's the parties? I know that.
where are the parties?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure,
sure.
that was me. Yeah.
So like that's life. It doesn't make me a better person. It just makes me better prepared.
Right. Good answer.
You were going to say something, Ian. And I think I cut you off, and I
don't
apologize for that.
remember what
Okay.
it was. Yeah.
So what do you? Okay, you're going to get elected. Let's assume you're going to get elected. What's your first 100 days going to look like? I mean, I would imagine you must have that already in your head what you want to do from day one.
So it's actually, I got asked this question by a 13-year-old kid at an event yesterday. It's a
That's
really
great.
good question. And
For a 13-year-old, for a
Yeah.
58-year-old.
yeah, no, look, but
It's good
that's
for
a
you too,
compliment,
Lee.
because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
13-year-olds in this
That's right.
part of New Jersey are smarter than most
Well, I have the
adults.
That's
mentality
true.
of a
That's true.
12-year-old.
Yep.
So.
So, and I told him, like, it's actually hard because things are happening so fast in America.
That's it.
And if I'm sworn in on April 17th, who the hell knows where we're going to be? So I tend to answer this question by imagining I'm there now. Let's
Okay.
imagine it's today.
Right.
And today, the two top things would be getting these restrictions on ice and finishing the job of extending the healthcare subsidies.
Okay. Excellent.
Because interesting, good news, 17 Republicans in the House a couple of weeks ago crossed over and voted to extend for 3 years the tax credits for Obamacare to keep our health care premiums from going up. We need the Senate to do that, and there may be some compromise in the Senate. We have to see how that comes out. I think those are the two most urgent things that we need Congress to do. I also think we're at a point where we may be able to get some more Republicans in the House to vote against the tariffs.
Okay.
And from an affordability point of view, that's the single most important and simplest thing that Congress can do, because the tariffs are a tax, like a 10% tax on everything that we're paying for right now.
Right.
So I'd be testing that out.
So, being here in New Jersey, I'm paying attention to this election. Obviously, I'm paying attention to Minneapolis. Obviously, I'm paying attention to Trump and Epstein and all the headlines. You can't, some of the, not the Melania movie. I haven't paid any attention to that. But
I haven't seen it.
But what I will say is there a shutdown? Are we looking at another congressional shutdown?
Partially.
What's the
So-
latest there? And
No, because they agreed to, so the Congress is moving the funding bills for the whole federal government. And there was a possibility of a shutdown, but the Homeland Security funding bill got separated out.
Mhm.
So if this works, then the government will be funded. The Homeland Security Department will be funded for only 2 weeks at current levels
Okay.
while they try to negotiate out these restrictions. And then we'll see what happens. There could be a shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. And, some people say that would be bad because there's so many other important things that DHS does, cybersecurity and protecting our ports and our airports. And but here's the problem. Trump has already cannibalized all those parts of DHS, removing personnel and shifting money to the immigration enforcement. So actually, one of the things, if I were there, I'd be insisting on, in addition to restrictions on ICE, I'd want protections for all the other federal law enforcement and national security agencies. I'd want to protect the FBI. I'd want to protect CISA, which protects us against cyber attacks. I'd want to protect all the parts of the Border Patrol that are doing customs enforcement, keeping drugs out of our country and contraband out of our country. Stuff that's actually protecting us, unlike this chasing around people who've overstayed their visas. And I'd wall off funding for those things.
Can you state again, you said there would be certain provisions that you would put into place for ICE, certain restrictions.
And
which
the Border Patrol, by the way.
And Border Patrol, right. And I think for a lot of people in this country, right, we're not talking to the country, we're talking to Maplewood, South Orange, and maybe a little beyond,
Essex County.
don't understand that when the Democrats are talking about making changes to ICE, they're not saying stop the protection at the border, stop some of these other things that are going on.
Correct.
If you can say again what you think the appropriate restrictions are to be put on ICE, I think that could help a lot of people.
Yeah. So look, I don't want people crossing the border illegally. And Democrats should say that. I'm a huge believer in legal immigration. I think we need more legal immigration. We need more people who want to come here and work hard and pay taxes and build the American dream and do the jobs that we need to build our economy. I want that. I don't want illegal immigration. But we've got millions of people in America who are undocumented. And the solution to that problem is not mass deportation of 10 million people with the cruelty and the violence that we are seeing and the separation of families. The solution to that is make them pay a fine. If they haven't committed any other crimes, make them pay a fine, whatever, $10,000, something real. Give them a work permit and a pathway to a green card and citizenship as we secure the border and make it harder for employers to hire future undocumented immigrants. That's always been the sensible, middle-of-the-road solution to the problem.
And as an attorney who's worked with a lot of people on immigration cases, I can tell you that most undocumented people, and most of them are undocumented because there is no path to legalizing for them at this point, would be happy to come up with $10,000, which is a stretch for most of these people working in low-paying jobs.
But their employers, right, would in some cases.
Their employers very often would, because I've had employers often come to me, too, to see how they could help people who are working for them who are undocumented. So that's a good point, Tom.
Look, I've got a good friend who is undocumented, came to America from a European country over 20 years ago. He's married. He has a beautiful child, teenager, born in America, American citizen. Started a construction home renovation business, has a bunch of employees. He's paid, I can only imagine, hundreds of thousands, if not over $1 million in taxes. Will never get benefits for the taxes that he paid. Upstanding member of his community, helps his neighbors, incredibly decent, good guy. So 2 possible solutions to that problem, because he would acknowledge that he broke the law when he came to the country. Civil violation, right? So option 1, he pays a $10,000 fine, and we allow him to keep his business, keep his employees, keep his family, and continue to benefit the community. Option 2, you raid his house, take him to some freezing cold immigration detention facility for a month, put him on a plane back to his home country, separate him from his family. His business is closed. His employees are fired. We lose the tax revenue. This is a no-brainer. And I think most Americans, including a lot of folks who voted for Trump, would agree option one is better.
I agree.
Tom, circling back a little bit to AIPAC Israel, I know locally here there are so many. There's a large Jewish community, and they feel disenfranchised. They're nervous. Matter of fact, I go on again to some of these social media sites, the Jewish people, and they're password protected because they're worried. They're just worried about what they're saying and what they don't. They're just protecting themselves. You said you consider yourself a Zionist. To the Jewish community, forget what AIPAC is saying or trying to do to you. What would your election mean to the Jewish people? They want to know who to vote for. They want to know that someone's has their back.
So first of all, my convictions are my convictions, no matter who is supporting my campaign, no matter who is opposing me. So the fact that AIPAC is doing this does not change my convictions about support for the state of Israel, and absolutely when it comes to fighting the scourge of anti-Semitism in our country. People are insecure, and rightly so. We've had an increase in anti-Semitism on both the far left and the right. We had 2 young Israeli embassy staffers gunned down in cold blood in Washington, D.C. We've had anti-Semitic incidents all over the country. Some of that is coming from people. I'm a Democrat on the left, from the far extreme of my side of the political spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I will call that out. A lot of it is coming from the right. You know, we've got an administration that's like tweeting out Nazi slogans.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That we have government departments that are explicitly embracing Christian messages. Christ is risen on official government accounts. We have a foreign policy. The national security strategy of the United States says we should be supporting neo-Nazi political parties in Europe, in Germany. Call me old-fashioned. I don't think it would be a good thing if the Nazis came to power in Germany.
Yeah.
And
but you
so
history buffs out there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Something
right.
happened a while ago. This is coming at us in that the community from both sides. And I've stood with the Jewish community on this from the first day I walked into Congress. I'm married to a Jewish person.
Mm-hmm.
My family in Poland brought me up on stories of protecting Jewish friends and neighbors during the Holocaust, during the Nazi occupation of Poland. This is a core commitment for me, no matter who is supporting me, no matter who is attacking me.
So I think it's fair to say, Tom, that you support the right of Israel to exist and
to defend itself.
Right.
As a Jewish state.
Yep.
Let's be very, very clear.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that I have to support everything that the Prime Minister of Israel says or does. And I think that's a mainstream position, not just in the Democratic Party, but in the pro-Israel Jewish community in America.
You mentioned Mamdani a little earlier, the new mayor of New York. What were your thoughts on his campaign, his election? He didn't pull punches. People didn't think he had a chance.
And he's still not.
He's still not.
Right.
The underdog. I mean, you're talking about the underdog. I mean, is he the future of the Democratic Party? His political ideology? What? Just nothing to do with your election, I guess, your campaign. But I think he's changed the face of the party, perhaps.
Well, he's done a lot. He obviously did a lot of things right.
Yeah.
I think his appeal is based on his authenticity. Mm-hmm. He is a natural communicator and campaigner. Everybody can tell that this guy's sincere, that he's telling them what he believes. He's doing it in a very articulate and engaging and funny way. And I think everybody can learn from that. He also was incredibly disciplined in focusing on affordability, on the cost of living, and got to give him credit. Like one of the big ambitious things he said he would do, he did right away by having free preschool for every 2-3-year-old in New York City. That's a huge achievement.
Tremendous.
Give him credit. There are a lot of folks concerned about, he comes from the Muslim and Arab American community.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken some positions on Israel, which he would argue are irrelevant from the point of view of running New York City, but for a lot of Jewish New Yorkers are concerning. I think that I think that that should be watched carefully. We should hold him accountable to his promises to protect every single person in the city of New York, regardless of their faith. And if he does a good job, we should welcome that. If he falls short, we should hold him accountable. My hope is that he can be a bridge between all of these communities, and that ultimately this will be good for the cause of a New York City that is safe and welcoming for everybody.
And I think also Mamdani did a great job of connecting with younger people, which the Democratic Party hasn't. And I'm an official in the Democratic Party, hasn't always done a great job at. And I'm talking about that all the time in Democratic conversations that I'm having with people, that we need to do a better job of listening to younger people and connecting with younger people. And I think Mamdani did that beautifully.
Well, my mother just saw him on The View, by the way. My mom down in Boca Raton, Florida. Now she likes him. So here she was during the whole against Cuomo.
Mrs. Navlin.
That's right. Yeah, she goes,
Mamdani.
So I told her I was interviewing you again because she's been following what's going on. She wants to know if you're going to be on The View, Tom. That's what she would like to know. She would like to see you on The View. So
I think I got to win this race.
Okay.
To have a shot.
That's right.
But we're almost there.
There we go.
See, that's between
3
us,
more days.
That's between us and The View, Ian. See, we'll have the candidate on before he wins, but...
Whoopi Goldberg.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Is this like the minor league affiliate?
That's right. This is The View.
I think
Will
we'd
they
be
call
happy
me
to
up?
be the
Will they
minor
call
league
me up?
affiliate. And one day I'll tell you my stories. But I know Whoopi Goldberg. We'll have that conversation one day.
I'd like to know that story. I met her once, actually, many years ago,
Yeah.
but I don't know her. But just a few more minutes, Tom. You're so busy. You got so much to do over the next few days. Trump, getting back to Trump a little bit, I was asking some people questions you might have that you would love for me to ask you. Somebody said your thoughts on the Epstein files. Is what's going on? Is it a diversion? Once you're in Congress, what are your thoughts going to be on getting all that released and unredacted and so forth?
Yeah, they're slow rolling this. The Congress passed a law, said you got to release everything right away.
It's 2 months ago now.
It's 2 months, and I get that you do have to read the stuff before you release it, because there's some things that probably need to be redacted to protect people, the young women, not any men or others who may have been involved, but this has taken too long, and you can't help but suspect that what they're looking out for are references to President Trump and to people who are his allies, because there are clearly a lot of them there. Those guys were friends in the pursuit of young women, at least until a certain point in their relationship, and so that stuff's got to come out. And if there's stuff that comes out about prominent Democrats, so be it. I don't care. People are demanding to know this. It's a bigger deal than I thought it was. I got to admit, when I first read about this situation, and Congress voted almost unanimously. There was only one guy in the House and Senate who voted against releasing those files. It's just got to happen.
And I agree with that. Rich, at first I thought this was just a TMZ story, but it's become
it's real. And I want to, I also, I'm really interested in the money part. How did this guy amass so much money? And how that whole system worked, and connections with foreign countries and foreign governments. I don't know what's there. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think that aspect of it has to be thoroughly investigated and exposed.
And I'm just seeing too, this administration, it's all about power and people being better than other people, and people with power being better than other people. And this is just so much a part of that, that these poor young women were put in this position because these very wealthy guys with power could do whatever they wanted. And they're doing the same thing in this administration. It's just unbelievable. It's interesting that, I was thinking to myself the other day, things must be really bad in Minnesota if the Justice Department released all of these additional files on Friday, as another distraction from what's going on in Minnesota.
Yeah,
It's
Minnesota was supposed to be a distraction from
exactly
the Epstein
right.
files.
That's
and
right.
Now
It's the opposite.
it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donald Trump has said it would start with this election and, of course, the midterm elections next year, or later in the year, I should say. He says, if the Democrats get back in power, I'm going to be impeached. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to that degree. Does this guy need to be impeached?
Well, he commits like 10 impeachable acts every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does he deserve to be in a normal, not upside down world? Yeah, of course. But I don't think I would go there right away unless I felt like there was a demand from the American people strong enough that I thought the Senate would convict him.
Okay.
Because otherwise we're just wasting weeks and weeks, and in the end he wins. So there are other things we can do that I think he's more scared of.
Okay.
I would want really thorough investigations into all the corruption, the companies that are buying a piece of his ballroom, the foreign countries that are buying his Bitcoin to get better treatment from the United States. It was just revealed that 4 days before Trump was inaugurated, a bunch of powerful, wealthy guys in the United Arab Emirates took a 49% stake in the Trump family Bitcoin operation, and they paid hundreds of millions of dollars in cash up front to the Trump family. Like, that scandal is so big that we don't even think of it. It's just almost too big to be noticed, right? And like that, it could be criminal. I think there's a lot that a future president could do to hold accountable those foreign entities that are engaging in that corruption with Trump. And if we start signaling that now, it will be a deterrent. And these guys will, there'll be fewer people buying into his businesses as a result. So, I mean, that'll hit him in the pocketbook, and I think he's much more scared of that.
Yep. And I imagine, based on your past work and your history, that you would be a leading voice for that.
I would want to be involved in that.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, for more information on Tom, if you haven't voted yet, because some people have, but you can go to Malinowski4newNJ.com. Malinowski
FORNJ, yes.
.com. And that's where I get all my information from, the
It's
internet.
a good place to get information.
That's right.
Yes.
I thought you got it from this show.
From the show, that's right. From the Lee and Ian show.
Yeah, well, I do. I do two things. I look on the internet, and then when Ian walks in, I go, Ian, what does this word mean? Yeah, and he spoon feeds me.
No.
He's like, incumbent. That would be somebody that was in office already. So, in theory, you were an incumbent, and perhaps you're going to be returning to in just you got
just a couple of months.
It's incumbent on the people to send me there.
That's right.
There
It's
we
incumbent.
go.
That's
Very
right.
good.
Yes.
Ba-dum-bum.
And that is up to us here in the 11th district.
That's right.
That's Essex. That's
February
Morris.
5th,
February 5th,
Thursday.
Passaic. Right. That's right. So, Tom.
Morris, Passaic, and Essex.
Yeah. So, what's the rest of your day look like? It's 5 degrees out. What is a camp? I know
He just got back from Florida, so he's feeling this.
What I'd love to do, I grew up when it was always this cold in the winter. We would shovel off snow on the ponds.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And play ice hockey.
Yeah.
And I was just in Parsippany yesterday at the home of a guy who has a house on the lake. And I asked, are people skating? And he said, no, because they'd need insurance for that.
Oh, my
I'm like,
gosh.
man.
It's like, this is not the 1970s anymore.
No one ever asked us about
No.
insurance. I don't think our parents even knew what we were doing.
Right.
It's like ramps, like wood, and you put them up on and ride your bike over them, in the dead of winter and try to get over the ice, riding. Anyway, the world's different, but maybe the world's safer, but still, we survived.
We survived, and
That's it.
Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a
It was great
whole
to
other
talk to you guys.
conversation.
Right.
Yes, it was great having you again. Thank you, Tom.
Tom, thank you so
Lee.
much.
Thank you, Ian.
Best of luck this week. Best of luck Thursday. And when you're elected, we'll love to have you back in.
We will have you back again for sure.
Let's make it regular.
Yep, very good.
Okay.
All right, Tom.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Ian,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Everybody,
Lee.
the Lee and Ian Show says good night.
Good night, everybody.